Hello and welcome to the Brave Hearts, Bold Minds podcast, Growing Fine Young Men. I'm Lee Hatcher. Thanks for joining me as we explore a whole host of ideas and opportunities and seek to help the boys of today grow into the fine young men of tomorrow. Each week I'll be interviewing an educator from the Scots College in Sydney to find out what makes boys tick and how to equip parents of school-age boys with practical insights so their sons can be built up and their characters strengthened for wisdom and compassion. So, let's ring the bell and meet our guest for this week's podcast. With me today is Duncan Kendall. Duncan is Assistant Head of the Senior Preparatory School at the Scots College, and his title is, I'm really looking forward to this one, Boys Just Want to Have Fun. Duncan, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
This will be a great one. What kind of fun? What do you mean by fun, Duncan?
It's a quest for every boy. I think when he opens up his eyes in the morning, it's what he's, that's what he's aiming for. As soon as he steps on his foot, he's thinking, how can I have fun? Fun is so important for boys, and especially in a educational context, it's very important because it's a great motivator for boys. It's a motivator for boys to listen, to become involved, to be excited by things. But when I think of fun, I think of the things that laughter, and with that laughter comes endorphins, all the things that make us kind of, feel that, as the boys tell me, a bit fuzzy inside, but also more importantly...
What a scientific explanation.
Yeah, absolutely, from the mouth of babes.
Yes.
But also, more importantly, it actually allows us to bond, and it gives us that environment and those connections that are really important for us to bond in such a positive environment.
Yeah, probably comes under the umbrella of balance in a boy's life, do you reckon?
That is correct, and that balance can be extremely hard at times. One of the quotes I always remind myself when teaching boys is, tell me and I'll forget, teach me and I may remember, but involve me and I'll learn. And that's so important because it's that fun and play component that really gets the boys to have a balanced education, but a meaningful education as well. With fun, it's a banquet for the brain, really. I look at it. It's a smorgasbord for the senses. It provides nourishment for body and spirit. But unfortunately, at the moment, in certain parts of society, we seem to be depriving ourselves of it, which is a concern. And it goes back to a study that actually happened in the 1960s in the United States. And what was fascinating about it is they actually went to look at people who'd committed horrific crimes, mainly murder and so on. And what the academics was going to present itself were awful, violent things that were done to themselves, especially in their youth. The only common thread throughout all of the people that they study was play deprivation or the lack of fun.
Really?
Yes. So
how instructive.
We're here talking about fun, and boys want to have fun. I think that really stresses the importance of fun.
Yeah. Do you find parents a bit wary of the notion of fun?
It is. It's because that word risk, that really sets all the alarm bells off for parents. And of course, the safety of our children is so important. But we need to look long term. Yet, stopping our boys having fun really long term isn't the best outlook, because long term we need to really provide our boys the learning opportunities, allow them to make mistakes. And usually with fun we think of pushing the limits that boys are very well known for.
Yes, yeah, I've noticed.
The other component that we need to remember as well is that there's physicality in a lot of the fun that our boys have. And from a lot of the literature, and also as a father of two boys as well, the physicality of games is very important, because what it actually does is it teaches the boys in a safe environment of the limitations of appropriate behaviour, people's emotions, people's buttons, people's reactions.
Yes.
So it's really fun within a safe framework really provides, I think, the best education for our boys.
You kind of draw a line between the younger years of education and the older years in terms of what's fun and what's not.
Yes.
Talk us through that.
It's very important for us to know the stages of the boys and the different preferences of the boys also. What's also really important for us to know is when the boys are young, and in my role on the senior prep campus, it's when from the younger age, probably from about 0 to 5, the boys really look to the mum for the bond. Of course, the father's involved, but the mother becomes very important. Then from 5 to 10, the boys then begin to look at their father to understand what it is to be a male and so on. And then the roller coaster starts. From 12 up until the age of 16, and a lot of people can argue even further.
A lot further. How about 48?
Yes, 48 and climbing. They will look to their peers for acceptance and guidance. Yeah. And that's why it's so important to have an excellent outside male role model to be part of the boy's life, especially when they're going to want to engage in fun. But as they get older, there's going to be parties, there's going to be alcohol, there's going to be cars. So it's very important to have that good influence and know when to introduce it.
So how does a parent encourage their boy to be discerning where to draw the line in that kind of fun, in inverted commas, that's not so good?
Yeah, excellent question. I don't necessarily have the correct answer.
No, that's okay.
From my experience and from observations, it's our first reaction when our boys really push our limits, or if they do make a mistake, is for us to overreact. But what's is important. Boys really love routine and they crave that structure as well. So it's a little bit of give and take. And what we really need to do for our boys is to, when they do make mistakes, to have those safe communication channels for our boys to access, to ask how can they make better decisions in the future. If they have made a mistake, the best way to amend those mistakes if they've hurt people and so on. And really as parents, which is very hard, very, very hard, is to address the child that's in front of us, not the child that's inside ourselves. And that's very hard to do at times.
How wise. Yes. When some people think of Scots, they may think rugby robust. But a dance program? Tell me that story.
Yes, well, I must admit at the start, it begins with a very incorrect perception of myself. I just got the job at Scots. That was nearly 9.5 years ago. And I'm going around the campus and the headmaster says, well, this is our dance studio. The boys do tap, classic jazz and everything else. And I thought internally, don't laugh.
What is this?
Yeah, what is this?
Bite my tongue.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought, not that, boys shouldn't dance, but the thing is, for a whole school program, I thought, this is remarkable. I've never seen anything like it. Now, that was about 9.5 years ago, and there was a little bit of pushback. But believe it or not, now we have a full school dance program that starts from our kindergarten years. We have a showcase at the University of New South Wales where boys from 2 to year 5 present a class item of dance, which is everything from hip-hop, jazz, a bit of tap.
Of course.
And the demand has been so it's just been such a success that we now every afternoon have an afternoon school activity that caters to specific dance genres. So a culture has been established here, and really to not contradict, but to challenge what these rules are about being masculine or masculine.
What's acceptable.
What's acceptable of a male to have fun. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's so important. And I always challenge the boys, who wrote these rules? Who wrote them?
Yeah.
We did an activity quite this year actually, and it was quite challenging for the boys. It was to paint each other's fingernails with nail polish.
Wow.
So yeah, outsiders
that must
came
be a
in.
first for Scots.
Absolutely. So the boys then were asked how they felt that they were doing this, and they said, well, funny, weird. I said, why? And they said, well, sir, the majority of boys do not put nail polish on each other. And
So who wrote those rules?
Who wrote those rules? And what was interesting, in ancient Egypt, to show your masculinity, your power or prestige, the pharaohs used to paint their nails, and that was the symbol of masculinity and power. And I say, boys, the rules have changed somewhere, haven't they? So who wrote these rules?
How instructive.
Yeah.
Tell me what went on, not only in your mind as you became a believer in that dance program, what went on here at this school that made that so popular?
It was the freedom and expression to be ourselves as a college, but also to see for the boys themselves, for them to be able to thrive. And, one of the parables that we teach, you being a Christian school, is the parable of the lost sheep. And the boys always scoff and say, but that one sheep, there was 99 other sheep
Yes, good
that
point.
he endangered, and we really use it to show the boys that every single student, even though we are a big school, are extremely important to us, and we will cater to them to the best of our ability. Some boys have been taken along with the ride reluctantly initially, but when they stand up in front of a packed hall at the University of New South Wales, that thrill of performing breaks down any peer pressure or concerns that they may have about preconceived ideas about what it is to be a traditional male.
They are writing new rules.
They are, and
Yeah.
I'm glad it's them within the context of what they're learning here at the college, but also about what they believe is true, not what others tell them.
Educationally, is not fun and learning contradictory?
It's an interesting point that we actually look at, because one of the things is sometimes I have to remind boys after an activity, do you know we actually just learned something? No, but we had fun, sir.
Yeah, good.
They don't believe that the
Gold.
2 and 2 go together.
Gold.
To the point where some teachers really need to actually convince them that they had fun. An example that I have, we're doing maths, and to be honest, I was running out of time. It was the end of the year. And I had to cover percentages.
And energy.
Yes, and energy, trust me. Yeah. And I had graphs, I had percentages, I had difference, all these outcomes I need to cover. And I thought, how am I going to do this?
You see my eyes glazing over?
Absolutely, already. And that's what was happening to my
That's a bet,
classes
I
as
bet.
well. So I introduced a stock market game. So I gave them a limited budget. So they didn't have to research it. I gave them what I thought at the time were the top 30 stocks.
Well done.
And the boys then had to purchase those stocks, present them in a graph, each week present through percentages the movement of their stocks. What really warms my heart, we had so much fun, and boys were bringing in, even after we finished the program, the financial review to show me that their stock was a great long vision selection from themselves.
Yeah.
And then my program was unfair because it was only short term. But just to have that conversation and to have fun and have the boys be competitive against each other is so important.
I was going to ask that. The role of competition in fun. Because I fish with my grandsons and we're competing, having fun. Who's catching the most fish, who's catching the biggest fish. It's very kind of much part of a boy's life, that
It
competition.
is. And competition's very, very important. And with that competition, what we need to make sure is that no one's bored or working too hard. So that's the main thing we really need to look at as well. But with sport, what we also need to look at is that sport isn't an avenue for all boys. And that's why at the moment we're looking at avenues such as things like fishing.
Good.
Because it's, you're a keen fisherman, I
I'm
gather?
a keen fisherman in my own lunchtime.
But it's very important because fishing also, even though it can be a competitive sport, teaches things such as patience.
It sure does.
Resilience.
It sure does.
Especially if you're doing kind of ocean sea fishing as well.
Yes.
But the great thing about competition, it instantly engages the boys because inherently they all want to win.
Yeah.
But sometimes, and a lot of parents can say, well, there's always the boy who loses and so on or misses out. But what we need to see, that is a great learning opportunity.
Sure is.
It's not a hindrance to the boy, depending how it's dealt with.
Yep.
If it's not dealt with properly, absolutely. But if we see that as an opportunity to make them resilient, but also to see like a growth mindset model to move forward, they can learn from that and really grow from it.
Too right. Duncan Kendall, what do you do for fun in your life outside of this school?
Yes.
It sounds like you have a bit of fun here.
I do. And I must admit, that's so important for myself because when you enjoy your job or something that you do, you know, those positive neurons transform. And the best thing when you're a teacher is that those hopefully impact the students and they then go on to do great things. But look, for myself, family, it's one of those things, especially with young children, they enthuse me. I pick up their positive
Great stuff.
neurons and so on. But I love my sport. And also, thankfully, I love my sport because I'm a great lover of food also and cuisine. So I'm glad that they both
There's
go
balance.
hand in hand. There's balance.
There's still balance.
Exactly.
Tell me finally,
Yes.
the wackiest bit of fun you've seen or experienced here at Scots. I'm interested in this answer.
I'll never forget the laughter of, it would have been 270 Year 6 parents, and we kept it a secret. It wasn't our idea. It was a mother who filmed a Year 6 DVD, which just showed the highlights and so on. And at the time, the song Happy by Pharrell Williams, are you aware of it?
Yeah, it's on my iPod.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah. Well, good selection.
Yes.
It was taking Australia and the world by storm. So what we participated in was the boys were outside in the playground. They were quietened down by the Year 6 teachers. And what happened was there was a sequence of events. Now, for the boys to see then myself, the assistant headmaster, dancing happily to the Pharrell Williams song was a lot of fun. But what was better was to then be silenced by the headmaster of the prep school, which they thought was the pinnacle. But then came the drum roll. They didn't know it was coming. Was Dr. Lambert, the principal of the Scots College.
Oh, my goodness.
Telling Mr. Carrera to be quiet and to move on. And once Mr. Carrera did this, Dr. Lambert danced in a way that you'll have to see for yourself on the rampant line at the front of the Scots College. And that was so much fun because it's a celebration of not taking ourselves too seriously, but knowing what is that drive. And the drive is for boys to be happy and safe. And I suppose the theme of what we're talking about today, having fun.
What modelling for them, really.
Yes,
for
absolutely.
Fine young men.
It's the best tonic in life is laughter. So for the boys to always have that in their DVD choice, I'm sure it's going to hopefully be up there with some Hollywood busters.
Yeah. Oh, well, don't hold your breath. Well done to all you. Duncan Kendall, thank you so much indeed for speaking with us. It's been great.
Thank you for having me.
It's been fun. If you'd like more information about growing your boy into a fine young man, you can subscribe to receive really useful articles and news from the Scots College. It's free, offered to every parent who wants the very best for their boy in their journey to manhood. In your internet search engine, enter the Scots College e-newsletter to subscribe. I'm Lee Hatcher. Hope you'll join me again next week, hopefully for some more fun on the Brave Hearts, Bold Minds podcast, Growing Fine Young Men. Now, you know the drill. Here's the button. There's the bell. Duncan, take us out.
Okay, here we go. And it's been a while since I've done this, so here we go.
Don't
3,
slip.
2, 1, go.